the mothers will watch the social media, where it's TikTok or Instagram, and say, wow, this is very important.
Conscious parenting means saying yes to everything. I mean, have you met a toddler? Really, like they can feel the feels. Vlad, you've got a 3-year-old.
Today, we are delighted to have Maysaa Fahour with us. Maysaa is an accredited conscious parent coach and mentor, EDISC Behaviour Profiler, and is trained in Cognitive Behavioural Therapy. Maysaa is dedicated to helping parents gain confidence and calmness in their parenting. She offers one-on-one coaching sessions, workshops, and shares her insights on conscious parenting, emotional intelligence, and more.
Whoa, what if it's me? You know, Taylor Swift, hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. Darling, I don't have a red plate. I've got a blue plate or a green plate. The red plate's in the dishwasher. But I want a red plate. The human that's going to show you that you have a nail in your tire is your child, because they are going to irritate you, frustrate you, sleep deprive you.
Sure, let's go get ice cream. Is that bad? Is that going to do more harm?
They're going to find the parent that's got the ice cream. That's what children do. And it doesn't work that way.
The Avenue of the Strongest is a podcast dedicated to exploring the lives and experiences of the most inspiring individuals from around the world. Each episode features interviews with fascinating guests who share their insights and wisdom on a variety of topics, including education, impact, motivation, health, and learning. Here are your hosts, Anayet Chowdhury and Vlad Suleiman.
Maysaa, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, thank you.
Yeah, I also please want to start off by saying Eid Mubarak. I hope you had a fantastic holidays. I certainly did with my family members. It's that time of the year where you can meet up with all your cousins and extended family members. A very joyful time.
It was, yeah. It's a time to kind of like relax after Ramadan and, you know, enjoy some time with family, and of course candy and lollies and gifts, and it's a crazy 3 days, but lots of fun.
This podcast is sponsored by ArgoPrep, an award-winning edtech company serving over 1 million students nationwide. We understand that as parents, you want to ensure that your child receives the best education possible. Say hello to ArgoPrep. With over 15 plus educational awards earned in just the past year, ArgoPrep's platform offers your child video lessons, quizzes, drills, printable worksheets, and more. Best of all, your ArgoPrep subscription comes included with 4 comprehensive digital workbooks that cover all 4 subjects: math, ELA, science, and social studies. Visit ArgoPrep.com today and start your free trial. Saw that you just made an Instagram post talking about tips on advice for Eid and related to kids. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's a very interesting thing. It's actually one of the first posts I've ever come across where kids are mentioned.
Yeah. So Eid, and just like any other major celebration where children are involved in a celebration that's going to go on for a few hours at least anyway, I wanted to put a post together that gave parents an insight into, right, how are your expectations with the child that's in front of you? You see, because, you know, like Christmas, like Easter, Eid is a full-on day where we're up early, we're seeing lots of people, we're saying hi to lots of family that we might not have seen for, you know, a little while anyway. We're eating a lot, we're probably having a lot more sugar than we are, and parents are then quite surprised by, why isn't my child behaving? And so I put that post together as a reminder of, okay, let's get our expectations back to reality and understand that perhaps the way we were parented during our Eid time isn't the best and most successful way to raise a child, because, you know, we've got all of our old-fashioned, old-school mentality of, I'll give you your Eid present if you give me a hug. That's not going down well, you know. That's just teaching a child nothing about consent. So I really wanted to put that out there.
No, I think it's so important that you did that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Maysaa, I'd love to learn more about your journey and what led you to become a conscious parent coach.
Yeah, so I'm a teacher by background. So I got my bachelor's degree in teaching, went to university for 4 or 5 years, studied child behavior. I thought, easy, easy. I'm just going to have a baby and it's going to just be easy. Like, what more can I need? The baby's going to listen to me and I'm going to be like a free-flowing, fun, carefree mother. And then I had my son. And he did not want to listen to me. And he was a really cryy, clingy kind of baby. He was very hard-headed. He was really adamant in doing things his way as he grew up into toddler years, and then turned into a 5-6-year-old, just really started to push all my buttons. And I thought, what is wrong with this child? There is something that, is wrong. So I constantly spent time thinking about him, like, how can I improve him? Oh, I know, I'll take him to yoga classes and I'll take him to the chiro and I'll take him to the park and I'll get only organic food. And, so I did all of that stuff, and still, it was still really tricky. Fast forward a few years after that, and I'd had my second child, and it was just hard work. I kept thinking to myself, gosh, I'm always angry, always yelling, I'm always grumpy. And so there was this moment, about 11 or 12 years ago, where I was sitting there and my son looks at me. We're at the swimming carnival and I'm watching him swim, and he looks at me and he's like, Mum, are you watching? And I'm like, I'm watching. And he's like, you're not really watching. I said, what do you want? My eyeballs? I'm watching you. And it was like this big explosion of emotion. I can't do anything right for you. You don't like anything I do for you, is what I was saying to him. And he's like 7 years old. And he's just looking at me going, I just wanted you to watch me properly. And this light bulb moment went off, and I thought, whoa, what if it's me? Taylor Swift, hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. I thought, okay, I think it's me. And so my background is of Arab descent, and so you don't really go and see a therapist unless you're quote unquote crazy, is the way it kind of goes. But I broke that mold, and I was like, I'm going to go see a therapist. I'm going to go find out. And lo and behold, it's me. I'm the problem. Turns out that you've got to heal your childhood baggage to be a really kind of present parent. 2011 rolls around and I stumble into one of your previous people that you had on this podcast, Dr. Shefali, the pioneer of conscious parenting. And I said, yeah, this is it. This conscious parenting to me made so much sense that I just poured all my time and energy and everything into it. And I became a conscious parent coach and left the teaching world and decided to coach parents.
Wow.
Wow. When it comes to conscious parenting, I think there is a lot of misconception what it really means. So could you please share what are the most common misconceptions and what it is, the conscious parenting for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every day I get dozens of angry people on my page, believing these misconceptions without properly asking. Because here's the thing about humans. We either think it's all or nothing. We're just convinced that just because a parent isn't doing the strict, old-fashioned, old-school parenting, then what they're doing is nothing. I'm just sitting back, letting my children run amok and do whatever it is they want to do. That is the biggest myth. And so if I'm going to touch on 3 points that really conscious parenting gets like a bad rap for, that's the first one, where people think that if you're a conscious parent, you're not doing anything. You're just letting your kid do whatever they want. They hit their brother, cool. They want an ice cream after having 5, sure, you can have 20. Where that's not the case. And I'll jump into that. The second myth is that we're going to raise snowflakes. We're going to raise these fragile humans that aren't going to survive the world. And in reality, we grew up with quite strict parents, a lot of our generation, and we are now the generation that's the most anxious in history. So it doesn't actually tally up. A kind, conscious parent doesn't raise a snowflake. They raise somebody that will turn into an adult, that will say to their friends, hey, my mum really listened to my emotions. And I can't really see an adult hating that. I can't really see an adult going, oh gosh, My childhood was so bad. Do you know my mum validated me when I was like mad? My mum really listened to me when I was really upset.
Yeah.
I can't see that happening. And so that idea of a snowflake is quite a myth. And thirdly, and this is a big one, it's the idea that conscious parenting means saying yes to everything, saying yes to just everything that comes your way. And that is a huge myth, because I wish I could bring my 4 kids on and they'd be like, we wish. Um, and so, what conscious parenting is, the simplest way to put it to all of your listeners out there is being in the present moment. So, when my 5-year-old is crying because I gave him the blue plate instead of the red plate, then I'm not going to 1985 when I was 5 and being like, well, when I was 5, I just had to suck it up. So I'm just going to go with that. And I'm not going to the future and being all like, oh no, I better teach him how to be really tough. I'm there in the moment. I'm there on the Monday morning that it's happening, and I'm being conscious to the present moment. Okay, he wants a red plate. Do I have a red plate to give him anyway? Darling, I don't have a red plate. I've got a blue plate or a green plate. The red plate's in the dishwasher. But I want a red plate. Then you're there in that present moment.
Wow. I really love that. And I want to talk a little bit more about this and dive a little bit deeper. But when we talk about conscious parenting, I think most of the messages and messaging goes towards the woman, goes towards the mothers. And so I'm very grateful for having the chance to read Dr. Shefali's new released book. And she's done incredible work. And I'm super excited to have you on as well to learn more here as a man. I kind of want to flip the question here because it's important. Maysaa, I want to ask your advice, because I'm going to be a new father, and I have my own views. I also want to be kind of like you. I want to be cool, and I want to, unlike my childhood where you were saying everything was strict. What advice would you have for the fathers? Because I think a lot of this advice, the mothers will watch the social media, where it's TikTok or Instagram, and say, "Wow, this is very important," but the men, I'm generalizing. I apologize for that. But what are some advice you can give to expecting fathers on the importance, or what are some of the fundamentals for fathers should have when it comes to conscious parenting?
Yeah, go do your work. Go heal your baggage. Go talk to somebody to help you get through all of the stuff that you're carrying. And in the scheme of things, when we look at the statistics in front of us, it's the men that are not talking. It's the men that have grown up to be strong. Men don't cry, boys don't cry. It's the boys that have turned into men that believe that they are and have to be the strong ones, the breadwinners, the ones that can't break down, the ones that are there for everybody. They're the statistics that we're reading every day, and it's a sad statistic. And I really believe that men have got such a long way to go because of the society that we live in terms of, normalizing emotion. See, the thing is, 9 times out of 10, when I work with a male client and they come into my session, I'm hearing stories like, emotion, that's for the weak. And it is really important to understand that children, boys or girls, babies, only know emotion. So you see somewhere along the lines that child just got eradicated, understanding emotion. And so they've turned into, an adult. But children, you're going to get a big shock to your life because children are the most in tune to emotions. I mean, have you met a toddler? Really, like they can feel the feels. Vlad, you've got a 3-year-old. Let's hear about that, that daily kind of emotional roller coaster.
So let me. I want to kind of dig a little bit deeper. Is it true, or is it your belief that in order to become a conscious parent, you really have to go through those baggage, the past, your childhood, or I think me and Vlad can both agree that we also have some trauma that, and you're exactly right. Like society doesn't say, "Hey, Vlad, go to therapy, just talk about it," or is it that, hey, you can still be a conscious parent even if you're not ready to go to therapy yet, and kind of break those barriers and understand your childhood?
Look, there isn't a right or wrong way to go about it. So whoever's listening to this, I want you to just take where you're at, right? I want you to take one step at a time. So the fact that you're aware, and yeah, Vlad, you're just thinking about it, that's great. Now, whoever's out there is like, okay, I want to know more, then that's great, and so on and so forth. But I will use this analogy. Not healing your baggage is like a tire on a car wheel having a tiny little nail in it, and it going, like, eventually it's going to show. And the human that's going to show you that you have a nail in your tire is your child, because they are going to irritate you, frustrate you, sleep deprive you. They're going to push, the saying, "they're pushing my buttons," is actually a scientific accuracy. My child got on my nerves. It's because we have a nerve running through our body that's so in tune to our nervous system. So when my child says to me, "I hate you, mummy," and that gets on my nerve, it's not my child pushed my button. It's that was already there, and my child has just pressed on it. And so in essence, they haven't created the trigger for you. It's already been there. That nail in the tire is already there. They're just doing their thing. My child saying "I hate you" is probably due to the fact that I said no to extra iPad time. Like, it's got nothing to do with anything deep, right?
Yeah.
But what we want to do, and to answer your question, you can go as far as you want in the healing journey and the therapy journey. There is no end in sight. I've been doing it for 10 plus years, and every therapy session I learn more and more. The idea is, how self-aware are you? And then I want to add this, and I don't think it's spoken about enough. There's therapy, and there's information, and there's all the self-help books, and there's intellectualization, and then there's actually doing it. You've got to do it. You've got to come home and you've got to practice what you're reading about, what you're learning. And so that's the biggest advice I can give you. Decide where you want to start, and then you've got to work towards practicing it.
No, that's such.
Like you were saying, that it's a nice practice to go and speak and dig to your past traumas, yes, for fathers, for the future fathers.
Yeah.
But me and Anayat comes from the Asian culture, yes? So, and you said emotions are for weak. So I think the men from that cultures, it's very hard for them to go to psychologists or whatever to speak their problems out compared to the American culture, right?
Definitely.
So with that being said, do you have a lot of clients who are fathers, who are men, or most of them are women?
So there's about 10% of my clients are men, and I'm so super proud of each and every one of them that show up, because they do show up really nervous. Half of them are kind of brought in by their wives, but coaching, you see, has got this really amazing element to it, where it's about dealing with the present moment more than the past. So I'm no way a psychologist, and that's got its place, and I love psychology for what it is. But with coaching, what men find, and they're very solution-based, generally speaking, their brains are anyway. So they'll enter the coaching space with me, and they'll be like, "Right, my kid's not listening to me." I had a dad today that said, last night I tried to send my 10-year-old to bed, and it was like an hour later and she kept coming up and down, up and down. What do I do? So it's very much about, what do I do? And I love that. That's where I start with men. That's where I start with them with the coaching, and then eventually it leads to, okay, but what were you expecting? Tell me a little bit more about that. And so to answer your question, Vlad, the ethnic ethnic community that I work with, and that's my background, and you both can surely understand this. There's a lot of strictness growing up, a lot of control, a lot of what's this A grade? Where's the A plus? All of that pressure that has stored in our bodies. And so now our generation, we've got so much information. We're so lucky. We're like the best gen that are turning into parents. We're doing so well, but we're stuck because our bodies are like, no one taught me what to do when my kid says I hate you, except to smack them and send them to the room. What do I do? And that's where we're at, our generation.
And this 10%, are they forced to come, or are they just coming by themselves?
50. No, I reckon they're doing well. They're doing well, my clients. They're good.
While we're having this conversation, another thought just came into my mind right now, and that question is on good cop, bad cop. What are your thoughts on that? So, for example, I have my own set of experiences growing up. My wife has her own set of experiences growing up. My question is, should parents generally be aligned as one? Or is it, so in my view, and my child isn't born yet, but I just imagine because of my childhood, I think I'd just naturally be the good cop. My daughter will come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, the mom says no. Sure, let's go get ice cream." Is that bad? Is that going to do more harm? What I'd love to hear more about that.
So here's the thing with parenting. I call it the nuanced party, right? So every single situation has got a different context to it. So I'd need to know, is she 2? Is she 10? Have you said yes to every single ice cream for the last 10 days and you're doing it with an agenda? Are you doing it because you want to be the good cop? Are you playing to your label? Are you doing it because your inner child was deprived of ice cream, so you're getting her the ice cream? Or are you simply getting her the ice cream because you feel like getting her an ice cream? Like, there's so much nuances to it. But just for the sake of this conversation, let's talk about the two factors that play here in a relationship. So first, there's temperaments. Every human has got a behavioral style, and some styles are easily, the emotions go higher, so they're the temper kind of temperaments, and other temperaments have got a cooler style. And so usually what happens in life is these two people get married. And so just by nature, there's always one that's a bit hot and one that's a bit cooler, we could say. And so none of them are right or wrong, because I have met the coolest of cool mums or dads that eventually erupt like a volcano, because these cool kind of, when I say cool, I don't mean like cool, funky cool. I mean like slower to warm up. What happens with these people is, I'll tell you, they put up with a lot of crap. They'll put up with their kid not going to bed, not eating well. Fine, you can climb over my shoulder. Okay, yes, I'll get the groceries. Yep. And they'll do all of that, and then they'll erupt. And so that's not healthy. And same as the other style, which is kind of the 0 to 100 parent, where one thing doesn't go right and they erupt. So the best advice I can give you is this. Find the value system for your family that you and your partner agree on and want to solidify on. So your values, look different from household to household. Your value system might be, right, my kids aren't going to have devices until whatever. Bedtime is going to be at whatever. We're going to co-sleep. That's your value system. And then everything else is just the personality of the parent. But you don't want to override anybody else's values, because you have to understand that child is only going to be in it for them. So a child is going to naturally gravitate to whatever is best for them. They're going to find the parent that's got the ice cream. That's what children do.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'll pass it over to Vlad.
When I was preparing, I saw your sibling rivalry workshop called Navigating the Storm. So this is a particularly interested for me to discuss, as I have, and I already told you, I have 2 girls, 3 and 6. And I
Yeah.
definitely think I need to know how to navigate the storm. So could you please give me a small workshop here,
Yeah.
so that other parents who are watching and listening can understand what they can expect from learning from your navigation the storm workshop?
Yeah, for sure. Come along, Vlad. I'll invite you over. Okay, let's talk siblings. For some strange reason, parents believe that just because their children came from the same bloodline, they're just going to be best friends. They're just going to be friends. They're going to get along. They're going to be fine. They're going to dance in a field of daisies. And it doesn't work that way. They have to learn. See, siblings, it's a fascinating relationship because they spend so much time together. They're the first relationship that they ever have is with a sibling. Before you meet a friend, before you meet a partner, before you fall in love, before anything, you're with a sibling. And so the key to siblings is the parent. That's the key. What's the parent doing? Because children have one goal in their mind, believe it or not, and that is, how much attention is my parent giving me? Like, I want all the attention. Look at me, look at
Right.
me, look at me. And so when now there's more than one child, they're both going to be competing for your attention. And so this becomes a bit tricky, and we want to always try to divide our attention. But what parents tend to do is they try to be equal. So there's a few mistakes, I will call it, that parents do. So the first one they do is they try to be equal. So they will buy that child a pair of runners, or sneakers, and that child a pair of sneakers, even though only one needed the sneakers, because they don't want the other child to be jealous. And so what you've done there is you've robbed that second child of experiencing disappointment, and you haven't walked them through that emotion. I posted on my Instagram a few weeks ago, and it went viral, that I was at a goggles shop. One child of mine needed goggles and the other child didn't. And I wrote on my story, I only bought one, and everyone just lost their mind. They're like, oh. And I said, yeah, this is the thing about conscious parenting. This is why I'm like, guys, it's not easy. I never said it was easy, because I had to deal with my 5-year-old going, but I want goggles. I hate my goggles. And all of that, I had to hold that for him. Totally understand, buddy. You don't like your goggles, but they're functioning. I'm not buying you new goggles. And, quite out there. And so with siblings, the more you do this, the more that they will understand that mum and dad are there for their individual needs. Wow. The second thing about siblings is that they have different personalities. It's a given. We have to understand that one will have strengths and one will have challenges, and vice versa. But parents, especially again in the community I come from, it's like, why can't you be good like your sister? Look at her doing the dishes, all great. And look at your brother getting A+ in math. And I'm like, I don't like maths.
Yeah, comparison all the time.
Yeah.
Comparison, exactly, Vlad. That's what's happening all the time. And don't get me wrong, it's not always as in your face, the comparison. Sometimes it's like an indirect comparison. Oh, right, yeah, you're not like your sister. Like it's a very quiet thing. But children store
very
this.
powerful.
You guys have siblings? I'm not sure. Tell me.
I do. We do.
I do also, yeah.
And we're both very close to our siblings, so and I'm very fortunate for that. And that was actually that. Well, I'm sorry, I'll let you continue, but I actually do have a question about how do parents ensure, or should parents even ensure, try to have a healthy and loving sibling relationship as they grow up, as they perhaps exit the home when they leave at 18 or 20, maybe they get married off, so I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut off your train of thought, but
No
that was like my immediate next question, what I was thinking about.
I've got it all in here. Don't worry. I'm like putting it all together. So that top tip for you, Aniat, going into fatherhood, that word ensure, slash it out. You can't ensure anything as a parent. Gone out the window. What are you going to ensure? You can't.
Right. No insurance. That's it.
No, nothing. Gone. All you can control is you. How's your behavior? How are you reacting when your daughter, Vlad, knocks out her sister? What are you doing when your daughter is saying to her sister, I hate you, I don't want you to be my friend? What are you doing? What are you saying? Because that's all you can control. You can't control your kid. But psychologists and researchers and all the knowledge we have at the moment shows us that the more we are regulated with ourselves in that moment and don't go, oh, how dare you go to your room right now and you speak to your sister like that. She's only 3. You should know better. All of that stuff doesn't teach the kid anything about loving the sister. It teaches the kid to love themselves less. Now, I've got siblings too, and I'm supremely close to them as well. And that is really interesting that we all share that in common, because 2 things can happen growing up. You can become really close to your sibling, tied together with, jokes about, oh, remember when mum used to used to yell at us and, all of that stuff. Oh, hello, kitty. And so that can happen that way. And then on the other end of the scale, it can really pull apart siblings, because that famous saying of it was a normal Wednesday for you, but that was the day that, dad sent me to the room for 10 hours. So siblings have got that dynamic. So Anayat, you can't ensure anything about children getting along. You can just think about yourself. How regulated are you? So when my 2 boys are just going at it, by the way, I should make this clear. When I say regulated, I'm not sitting there doing like a Zen pose going,
Yeah.
Right? That's another myth. We should add that to the start. But
Okay.
like there's no yoga poses in the heat of the moment. I always say to clients, when the fire's on, you're not going to be sitting there going, okay, I'm going to remember to do, I'm so grateful. You're not going to be doing that. So what I ask from parents is this: in the heat of the moment, you have to be the adult leader. You have to, okay, what would you do if 2 children are fighting? Let's say they're not even your children. Of course, you have to go in and separate them, hold them back from each other and go, hey, you can't hit. Oi, you can't hit. What's going on? You both wanted the red car. There's 2 of you. There's 1 red car. Really sorry about that. How about you sit here? You get 5 minutes. I'm timing it. And so you're a leader. You're like pushing through the guidance of how you're going to get through the chaos. You're not going to be sitting there going, guys, your sisters.
That's
It's
funny.
not going to work.
Yeah.
So that is
What-
my take on siblings.
Wow.
What's your view on dedicated time? Let's say we, with my wife, we have one day I'm sitting with the daughter and she's going out with another one, and we switching. Is it a good practice or?
Okay, that's a lot of commitment to be like. All right, this is my take. 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day per child. Let the kid choose what they want to do with you. So usually my script goes something like, hey, buddy, I'm all yours for 10 minutes. What do you want to do? And so your child is going to really watch you. Are you really going to be theirs, or are you going to be like on the phone? And so 10 minutes a day is really powerful. What you're kind of talking about, I call like date days, and I do that roughly once a fortnight, once a month, because honestly, you don't want to burn yourself out, because we love our children, but how much Pokemon can we take, really, truly?
Yeah.
So we want to be really true to ourselves and honor the burnout that we consistently live with, because we're trying to do good by our children all the time. And
That's
so
a true conversation we're having here, huh?
It is. I'm in the trenches with you guys. This is what I announce. I'm in there. There is no way. I always say to parents, if you sit with a child and they say to me, but Maysaa, I sit with my kid for hours. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that to your brain? You have just fried it, and also quality has gone. Because who can like do Lego for hours? Lego is not bad, but like who can do Minecraft for hours? And so you want to be really driven, Vlad, by quality. So I suggest to you, starting today, 10 minutes a day, you say to your 3-year-old, let's go, buddy, I'm all yours. What do you want to do? And she'll choose something really cute, and you'll do it for 10 minutes. You'll put a timer on, and you'll say, that was fun. Oh my gosh, what do you want to do tomorrow? And that's what we do.
Yeah,
Wow,
just
I love
yesterday
that.
I spent like half an hour with her in the pool, And then we went to some restaurant. I was sitting, it was dedicated time. Everything is fine. And then evening time, we came home and I started to work. And she came to me and said, "You working again? You didn't spend time with me. You
Oh,
working a lot, and every day." And I'm like, "What the? I just spent whole day with you, and you're saying I'm
yeah,
not with you."
yeah.
So
So
no
here's
insurance, is it?
no
No
insurance.
insurance.
But here's something, Vlad, a free tip for you. When you say you spent time in the pool, you have to make sure that it's an activity that she chose. So usually it's like a really, like my son will choose to play Uno with me or dominoes with me or something that is tangible. That's just 10 minutes. Pool becomes just connection time, hang out. Yep, that's awesome. But it goes to show you also, Vlad, you're in the chapter of your life that your daughter is so excited to be in your presence. I've got 18 and 16-year-olds and they're no longer counting the time with me. So you're in that chapter where your kids are like, but that wasn't enough time with you, Daddy.
Yeah.
And so it's never going to be enough time in this
Right.
chapter of your life. So you can't take it personal. Cool. Good stuff.
Yeah. And
I'm
yeah,
released
I
right
should,
now.
yeah. And I love the fact that it's that, in your situation, it's a 10-minute, that timer, but the timer goes off, but slowly the child is so like, hey, okay, my parent has given me that dedicate, whatever, it's 10 minutes, 20, whatever it is. Now I
Yeah.
know that they have other responsibilities to do. Now, okay, now I'm not going to maybe
Yeah.
say, hey, dad, or hey, or is that it? Or
I'm just going to take like a stab in the dark, but Anayat, were you a good kid growing up?
I was a terrible kid growing up, but
Oh,
I am now the most kind, gentle
okay.
soul. But
Were you like
yeah,
were you the cheeky kid? Were you like the naughty kid?
I academically I was fantastic, but I would just cause chaos. I would just find the
Yeah.
block, throw it out the window, and just
Yeah.
like
Okay.
all that kind of stuff.
Because I love that from my description of 10 minutes, how like regimented you took that. And
Mm,
then it's like that is what I'm telling you the parent needs to do. But 99.9% of children will like throw the timer at your head and go, no, I want more time.
mm.
So no, children have no idea that you've got stuff to do at the end of the 10
Yeah.
minutes,
Mm,
right? So to give you a little bit of like a broader picture of things, the timer is there purely as a structural basis for the kid to know that you're not jibbing them on any, I don't know if you guys use that
okay.
word, but like you're not tricking them on any
Yeah.
time. But the
Yeah.
child, especially if you have a strong-willed child, and they're my favorite child to talk about, but these particular children are like, really? 10 minutes? You think you're going to shush me up with 10 minutes?
Mm,
No way. I'm going to find something else to really push your buttons and I'm going to follow you around everywhere. And so we're delving into like another story there, but essentially you have to be mindful that before you become a father, like it's not going to be like that, the way you lined up your ducks. Not always. And children have got to be allowed to express themselves by going, no, I want more time with you. It's the kids that are going, okay, yep, 10 minutes is up. You've got so much work to do, mummy. They're the kids I'm worried about.
mm. Wow. Okay, there's another question here on emotional intelligence, but I'm actually going to skip that question. I want to get
Okay.
your thoughts on. I want to get your thoughts on screen time because it's such an important topic that's so talked about. And of course, for everyone listening, we're not coming in at this is not an advice from a psychologist. This
No.
is coming from yeah. So I just wanted to clear that up. But aside from that, I think it's very important. And so you know, I'm going to have a daughter soon. So I'm so grateful for listening to your advice. And there's so many things I'm learning, especially about the sibling rivalry where
Yeah.
it just, I should not be buying two pairs of goggles if, just the one who needs it. But what are your thoughts on screen time? I think we're now at a very complex time where, we talk about TikTok specifically, let's say. What are your thoughts around that? When should your children, in your opinion, be allowed to have what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a device?
Unrestricted internet access, right? That's what I'm going for. Like unrestricted. Like hey, like here's the phone. I mean, you try your best, but you know that your child will find a way around it. So if they want to access TikTok, they probably will. Not they probably will, they definitely will. So
20 years old.
right, because there does come a
35.
time, right? So
Never. Keep them safe. Why do you have to go into that bad world? So sorry, I cut you in with my drama, but you were saying at what age? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay, the $1 trillion question. So here's the thing. And I've worked with, the number one leading gaming device screen time psychologist in Australia. He runs an entire centre of screen addiction teens that actually, like, it's an actual thing. And so I've learned from him. I've gone and done so much research, and here are kind of the top tips that when it comes to screen time. Again, take these with your value system for your home. So tip number 1, you have to accept the era we live in. It doesn't mean that I'm saying now go and give your child a phone. Tip 1 is accept the era we live in, that it's got so much good, that we can Zoom call, that we can do this together, that we've got Google Maps, that we've got fantastic technology for health, right? Fun stuff too, right? Because social media has got a fun element to it. Good stuff. So once you've accepted the era we live in and you're no longer nostalgic about our 80s era, oh, I don't know about your era, my 80s era, oh, it was so much fun and we climbed trees and what? Are you kidding me? It was so irresponsible. I'm a genius for not dying out there on the streets. Like, my parents were migrants in a white little town. I don't know how I survived that. Like, it was just brilliant of me. And no one asked me if I had eaten or drank enough water and sanitized my hand. Like, it was just crazy, but we did it. And I get it. I get that era was fun and it had good stuff to it. But what we do as adults is we romanticize our childhood. We start to imagine that it was way easier than what we're going through, because that's what brains do. Brains have to do that. Otherwise, we'll never forget the stuff. So we romanticize a lot of things. We have to be honest and real, because if I spoke to my grandparents, they'd tell me that my parents have it easier and so on and so forth. And so tip number 2 is you have to understand that this device, this thing in your child's hand is seductive, addictive, exciting, brilliant. I mean, have you seen adults on the train? There's no doubt about it. You don't want your kid on the device. You have to parent them. You have to be more exciting. You have to hold a boundary. You have to be more exciting. You've got to take them out. Because last time I checked, Vlad, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but our kids' schedules are like swimming, piano, football, tennis, basketball. Like, where are they meant to find the time to go down the street and climb a tree? And also, I'm in Dubai, what tree? Like, really? And so there's all this stuff in there, right? And so now we come to the idea of, okay, but how much time and at what age? And so what the CDC found and a lot of, governing bodies is they started to discover that it's no longer how much time is the child on it, but what is the child doing on it? Because you could be FaceTiming grandma for 3 hours, or you could be playing Call of Duty for 3 hours, and they do very different things to your brain. And so, the professionals have started to tell parents that there are some golden rules for using screen time, i.e., no screens in bedrooms. How's your sleeping? How's your eating going? Are you balancing their body movement and their nutrition? Because we are the owners of the device and the Wi-Fi and we pay all the bills. So have you gone and bought your child the Fortnite game on PlayStation and then you're hating the Fortnite game? Like, it's very, very intertwined with each other. And so, Dr. Shefali also says this, which is, by the time your child is entering that 16 plus, it's kind of like, see you later. Like, they are, like you said, Anaya, they're either going to hide it behind your back, lie, cheat, steal. It's just the way of the world. And so I came to this realization that why is it that we want to shelter our kids so much from this device and then let them be free with it? When, like, for example, when we're teaching them how to use scissors, we're like, no, first you buy baby scissors, then we'll hold your hand, then we'll do that, and we teach them
Right.
slowly. What about crossing the road? Super dangerous thing. We teach them for years. I mean, my kid's 11 now and just getting there. Like and yet with devices, we're like, ban them, slow them down. No, no, no.
Yeah.
And instead, I want parents to start to think of themselves as using the childhood to be a mentor for this device, teaching them what sites are bad, what are good pictures and bad pictures, what does it do, what can you do about it, what do you do if you're cyberbullied? Because then when they're 16 plus and they're stumbled across pornography, they're getting bullied, all the bad stuff is happening, they'll know what to do, or hopefully they know
Yeah.
what to do.
Right.
That's my take.
Wow. Well,
I have one last question regarding
Yeah.
to this. What about the praising kids with let's say cartoons or device or something? So let's say you do the homework. If you do it, then I'll give you the device to watch a cartoon.
Yeah. So again, nuance. Let's just go with it for a little bit. This example, Vlad. So do you have a Zoom meeting and there is nothing else that the child will stay quiet unless you put her on the cartoon? Then I would put her on the cartoon, right? You've got to think of yourself as a balance here. You can't, I had a client that said to me, Maysaa, I waited for this bank call all day. She was waiting for this very important call from the bank. And the moment the call came through, as you know with kids, you know what happens when you get a phone call, the kid automatically magnets all the way to you. And so she's like, do you know what? And then I couldn't make the phone call properly. And I said, oh, what did the kid want? And she said, he wanted to go on the iPad. I said, okay, is he not allowed on the iPad normally? She's like, no, he's allowed. I'm like, okay, but what happened? And she's like, well, he was trying to take advantage of me because I'm on the phone. And I'm like, but you waited for this phone call all day. So really it was a lose-lose situation because you now yelled at him and he still got the iPad in the end and you missed the bank call. So really it's a nuanced party. Look at what's in front of you. But, let's take another example. You just said you do your homework, you get screen time. I want to encourage you, Vlad, to dig deeper. Why is it that she needs the reward to do the homework? Is she bored? Is it hard? Is she hungry? Is she unmotivated? Is she trying to get your attention? I'm just giving random examples. I don't know Vlad's story, guys, but there is something beneath it that is causing her to not want to do the homework. And so you dangle the cartoon as a reward. Sure, first time she might do it, maybe the third time she'll do it. And then kids start raising the stakes. Then it's like cartoon and a Kinder Surprise egg, cartoon and a chocolate and an iTunes card,
Yeah.
And so
Stakes
it's
are rising.
never going to end well. And that is why I am not for rewards. I would love to let you watch cartoons for no reason whatsoever. It's not because you did the homework.
Wow.
Beautiful advice.
Thank
Just
you.
yesterday I was discussing it with my wife. And
Yes.
we always, not always, but time to time, we're praising it. Okay, do the homework, do this. And then we were driving to the pool, and I'm saying, that's it. We have to stop to do this because otherwise she'll just not do the homework if she'll
Yeah.
not get the praise. So,
Yeah, I mean, 9 times out of 10, there isn't a kid I haven't met actually. And I've got 50 nieces and nephews. I've worked in schools. I coach. Every time there is a story behind the story. Every time. Even a kid that says nothing, this is the dumbest work in the world, like a phrase like that. You go deeper and you say to the kid, what's dumb? All of it, really. But like if you can look at the sheet, which part is the dumbest part? That one. Oh, question 2 is dumb. Yeah, because it's fractions. Oh, you hate fractions. Yeah, it's dumb. I don't get it. Oh, so it's fractions you've got a problem with.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's very important. Well, Maysaa, this has been such. I'm enjoying this conversation so much because it's like we're at the 50-minute mark. It feels like we've been talking for 5 minutes. I don't know about you, Vlad, but
yeah,
literally
exactly.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm getting all this free advice. Thank you so much for that. This advice is so valuable. I mean, conscious parenting. topic has been one of my favorite things to learn about. And it's of course I have a lot more work to do as well as I get closer on to having my own child. But wow, this conversation has been such a pleasure. I want to ask you one last question that I typically like to ask all the guests, which is, who has been the most strongest or most inspiring person in your life, and what lessons have you learned from them?
Yeah. So this is a little bit different maybe to usual answers, but my kids, they've taught me to wake the heck up, to stop it, to recognize that I'm responsible for me, and that's that. And so I'd probably give the accolade to my eldest, being that he was, my first and my biggest teacher. And sometimes I get sad and I wish it was different, but I get that it had to happen. And so he's 18 now, so me and him can sit there and have a laugh together about it. And I profusely apologize all the time how stupid of me to just decide that that's it. You can now just stop being in your bed and I'll just change rooms for you, and you can just stop doing that, and like all this controlling stuff. And so that has been the person. My son has really, really woken me up to the world.
I hope your son will hear it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that is 100%
guys.
true.
The offer's there. Reach out anytime, any question. I hope your viewers get a lot of ideas. I'm all about ideas, because it's all very well that we learn the stuff, but then we've got to do the thing in the parenting when the kid's yelling at us or something. We've got to do something.
Maysaa, I'd love to learn, where can our listeners or viewers learn more about you, or where can they follow you? Is it a social handle? Is it a website?
Yeah. So you can find me on all socials at Coach Mace EQ, most active on Instagram. And I've got a website to book me in for coaching. And I've got a workshop coming up in May all about siblings. I pour so much information in my workshops because I want parents to have hands-on strategies, what to do in the moments.
Wow, Maysaa, thank you so much. And thank you so much for doing this, by the way. I mean, again, ever since we've spoken with Dr. Shefali, I don't think we've never been introduced to conscious parenting before. But now, especially before who cares about conscious parenting if I'm not a parent, right? So that was, I'm just being transparent here. Okay, great. That's a different industry. But now that I'm going to have my own child, I find it like it's imperative information that every parent should know and be exposed to. And of course, they can make their own decisions if you want to. Some parents, as you said, it's a polarizing topic, right? Some parents don't believe in it. Some parents will take 30% of it. But nonetheless, it is with the fact that it is groundbreaking work, and it is very important. So I look forward to just diving more into it, and taking a look at some of the amazing stuff that you do as well. So Maysaa, thank you so much for doing what you do, and thank you so much for sharing I really loved your advice. I mean, I probably gave all the stupid answers, because I would have done this if I have two children. Guess what? They're both getting goggles, but now it's different. I'm going to dive more deeper, but which parent goes on here and says,
So what did you learn from Maysaa? Don't buy two goggles if they don't need it.
Yeah. What did you conclude from 1 hour of conversation? Yeah.
It's all right. I get it. It's deeper than that, guys. We did well together.
Exactly.
Well done.
Exactly. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys. No worries. Take care.
This podcast is sponsored by ArgoPrep, an award-winning edtech company serving over 1 million students nationwide. We understand that as parents, you want to ensure that your child receives the best education possible. Say hello to ArgoPrep. With over 15 plus educational awards earned in just the past year, ArgoPrep's platform offers your child video lessons, quizzes, drills, printable worksheets, and more. Best of all, your ArgoPrep subscription comes included with 4 comprehensive digital workbooks that cover all 4 subjects: math, ELA, science, and social studies. Visit argoprep.com today and start your free trial.